Hello my guys and welcome to the channel today. We are talking all things Starkiller, and this one's quite difficult because he has a huge amount of flexibility in the team that he can have, either in 3v3 or 5v5. Now I talk specifically about Grand Arena first because we love it the best because it's the most fun by far, but also because that's where he's most useful, or because of his unique ability. There is much conflict, and you always forget the name of it. Thankfully I had it up already to make it easier. So normally you get these abilities. So if you get one Jedi, one light side unaligned, one Sith, and one dark side unaligned, you get these bonuses here, and they're kind of fun, right? So you get speed, you get protection, you get critical damage and max health, and you're immune to standing days, right? That's kind of useful, right? No matter what game mode you're in. So he can work a little bit in territory wars and territory battles. And territory wars, Juhani's Omicron and Mace Windu's Omicron both help as well. But just talking about Grand Arena, of course, if you have his Omicron, as I do, and to be honest, if you have Starkiller and you don't have his Omicron, I do not know what you're doing unless you just literally unlocked him 5 minutes before this video, in which case that's okay. But if it's more than about 5 minutes, you need his Omicron. And it gives you huge number of bonuses. You can throw Jedi tanks now, taunts now as a tank. You get even more speed. You deal debuffed, extra damage to debuff enemies. You get assist in the basic. This one's really important. You get critical immunity. You get cooldown reduction and light side healers, very specific, right? And you get damage immunity from tanks. And as it says here, in 3v3, any kind of combination of characters works just fine. So you can use like a Sith and a dark side unaligned, a Sith and a Jedi. That would be quite fun actually. Unaligned, dark side, light side, whatever it is you want, right? You can use whatever combination. As long as you use one of each group and not two of one group, it still works. Wunderbar. So because of that, he actually has a huge amount of flexibility built into him. So he does have two of the Omicrons, Bonus Force Throw and Force Repulse, and it's not that they're unuseful. They are useful, right? I mean, this one here, debuffs on allies, buff immunity, healing immunity, can't be copied. That's useful. It's not unuseful. And same as Force Repulse. This one dispels all buffs on enemies. Again, kind of useful, not unuseful at all. But compared to the bang for your buck, if you will, being American, that there is much conflict and it gives you. The other two don't really give you the same. They're useful and they do help, but you don't need them. I mean, I use Starkiller regularly to beat Ray is my number one. I usually beat, but he has beaten for me Lord Vader actually on one occasion. Certainly, he has beaten Emperor Palpatine before for me. Recently, actually, so Sith Eternal Emperor Palpatine, not normal Palpatine. That would be kind of whatever. And I think he does actually beat Jedi Master Luke, so I'm not sure if I've done that myself personally, but he does beat a bunch of different GLs. Now, how do I mod him? Really easy. Offense, as much as you can, and health. And then in his mod set, as much speed as possible. Just to give you an idea of what mine is set at. Mine's 270 speed, of course, when we've got the speed bump from his Omicron and so on, and his unique ability, so it's going to be a lot faster than that. Same with his health and protection, they're going to go through the roof. His critical damage, as you can see, mine is over 200%. That's pretty good. And his offense is a little low. I mean, I'd like it to be closer to 10,000, but you know what? 8,800 is pretty good, nevertheless. Now, as I say, he's a great character, but he has lots of different team combinations. So I'm going to try and talk about each of the groups generally, about which characters you can pull out best of all, which one's worst of all, so to speak. So firstly, unaligned force user, dark side unaligned force user. There's really only one choice for this. Mara Jade. You gotta pick Mara Jade. I mean, you can't pick others, but Mara Jade is the one that really stands out head and shoulders with everybody else. Mod her for speed, make her as fast as possible. Mine's about 320. You can make her 340. Then she gets the speed bump from the Omicron. She's even faster. She's going to be lightning quick and get out there. And she puts on debuffs. She puts on shock and stagger. And as it says there, if Palpatine is the leader, he gets 10 meter for each debuff from this ability specifically. Plus, he works off of shock. So as you can imagine, if you pick Mara Jade, Palpatine's a pretty good friend to go with her. Like the two of them together, they work in Conjury really nicely. She stuns on her middle ability, but it's vulnerable as well. It's very nice. Double damage for shock enemies, which you probably did if you did the grenade first, then you do the shock second. That's all great. Plus, of course, Jedi. If you find Jedi, like I said, Jedi Master Luke can be beaten by Starkiller. Double damage is always very nice. That and her basic again. She's like an assist. Basically, it's an assist sequence because she'll take a turn. Then Palpatine is that assist because Mara Jade took a turn, and then Starkiller will take a turn because, as I said just before, every time a Sith character does a basic, Starkiller does a basic. So it's going to be like a Jade, Palpatine, Starkiller each time she does a basic like that, which is really nice. Speed. I put potency on too to try and get it to land the debuffs because I really needed to land the debuffs, like the shock especially. She needs to land it, so I try and do that. Her speed, like I said, about 320, yeah, 317. I agree with that being a bit high. I wish her potency was higher than that, but beggars can't be choosers because we can only buff so many things at once. So she's quite thick minded, as you can see that her protection is quite high, and she's quite fast. Speed is really the one thing you need. She's fast, then the rest of the stats don't actually matter too much at all. You can pick Inquisitors, but you've got the Inquisitor team for them. You can pick people like Kylo Ren. They kind of work, but it's really Mara Jade is your way forwards. Now, when it comes to light side and line force user, realistically, CLS is out, J Training Ray is out, Ben Solo is out, Ahsoka is out. Scav Ray you can use simply because she's left over. I use her sometimes because she's just left over from teams, and she's Relic 7 because I have GL Ray, so I had to Relic 7 her. The obvious choice though is Beast's Mom. Mine's only gear 12. Never actually bothered to level up, which is really bad. And why is that? Well, as I said before, she can, wrong ability, get a reduction in her cooldown of 4 based on Starkiller's actions, which means that this cooldown of 8 becomes a cooldown of 4. And as it says here, every smile is at full health, revive a random ally. So you can keep people alive, you can bring them back to life, which is really nice. I mod mine, I'm pretty sure just for health for the most part, to try and keep her alive and help, but I really could do making her faster and stronger. I don't use her very often, to be fair. Health, protection, probably faster and stronger as a whole. But Reese's Mine, not a character I use very often, so that's a bad example for me. You can use Fulcrum, doesn't work brilliantly. You can use Cal Kestis, actually. He works kind of well, but he has his own team too, of course. Now, Jedi is a bit different for me because obviously I have both Luke and Kenobi. And that means to me that the realistic best choices are one of 3, right? Number 1, you can pick Mace Windu, which is quite nice because he counterattacks a lot, ability block on basic, reduces max health as well, which is very nice for Shadow Point. So he's quite good. Obi-Wan Kenobi, he too works really nicely. He is a tank, so he works with damage immunity, and so on. Ability block is a very nice ability to pull out. He puts defense up 2 on your team, and you just get turn meter based on certain types of attacks done to him. And then the last one that people use, though I don't use it myself, is Plo Koon. You can see my Plo Koon's not very good, so there you go. Plo Koon does work quite nicely. He does do a turn meter push with his special, which is kind of nice and can help like push your team onwards if they're starting to slow down for some reason. But personally, I got all Ben 99% of the time. I have used Mace Windu a couple of times, but very infrequently. There you go, Plo Koon zoomed in just for your benefit. If you pick an old Ben, modern for health, modern protection, you want him to survive as a tank, defense as well, another possibility. And the last character in the team is the Sith. And as I said, the Sith really you have one choice, which is Palpatine. He works perfectly with Mara Jade in sequence. It's so good. Bomb, bomb, bomb. Get shock, get turn meter. Can you do the stun with Palpatine as well? Get the health steal from Palpatine. All of these things are very nice. Now there is actually, I suppose, one other person I should mention, which is Savage. Now Savage has got a Omicron of his own, and he's a very good character. He's a very good character. However, in the Starkiller team, he's really good. Like, if you want to buff your Starkiller team to make it like an elite Starkiller team that is super hard to beat, stick Savage in there rather than Palpatine, because Savage, with the Omicron from Starkiller, with Savage's own Omicron, makes him so strong that it's really hard to kill him. Like, yeah, I guess you have to use GL at that point between Savage and Starkiller, and I presume you would use Mara Jade nonetheless. You'd lose a few of the bits of viability, but Mara Jade would be the other one I guess you'd use at that point. I guess you could use like Kylo and a mask just to be really, really jerky and put a tank in there. But Savage does really work well. But I find it to be a waste because you're taking out a character who's in another team and basically a solo team as well, and putting him into this team. So I don't like it so much as a makeup. Okay, so this is a version of Starkiller in 3v3 versus Ben Solo And hold on, why am I using these ones? Well, firstly, I couldn't find any 5v5 footage I had done recently because it's 3v3 season, but also it's an interesting one fighting against Ben Solo. Now, he's got the damage, immunity, and the ability to kill Ray when he's alive and vice versa. Like, they've got a weird Omicron, and I'm not going to go into it today too much. I mean, I can do at some point with the Resistance because I have almost all the characters maxed out for the Resistance as it is. Now, firstly, as you can see there, I picked on Ray straight up. I want to get Ray, if I can, into the yellow first. But then I was going to like change around. It's difficult sometimes to decide exactly the order of the. So then there, she put herself into the yellow straight up. So now I'm like, I got to race through. And I got the lifeblood wrong there. I do that all the time. She switched the lifeblood from Ben to Holdo. So working on Ben now, trying to work him down, trying to get him in the yellow too. If I can get him in the yellow someday in the future. Sudden whirlwind to the face really hurts. Throw the grenades, get some more shock on the field. Trying to get through Ray if I can. But then I realize, of course, I can't kill Ray straight up, so I've got to get Ben down too. It's that combination of the two together. Decide to save the ultimate for now. No point doing it just yet. Killed Ben outright, but now I've got. So basically, I bypassed his um, damage immunity by doing it that way. I think if I'm right. No, I didn't. I just killed him outright. There you go. That shows you how much I didn't watch the thing when I did it the first time. But then I have a problem here because until Ben Solo gets down, I can't actually kill Ray. So it's like, okay, I got to do something else. So I started attacking Holdo here, and I mean, I could have done the ultimate here to make sure Palpatine would survive, but it was like whatever. Tried to push shock back on him if I could. I got the days at least. Oh yeah, I got the shock. Oh, that's really nice. Got both. Kept working down on him. That's the ultimate. Palpatine tanked it again. Wunderbar. Starkiller at Relic 7 yeets out most people once he's unleashed. There you go. Simple as that, right? And then if I remember rightly, I do time this out nicely to do the ultimate to make sure you get max banners. Just keep attacking Ben Solo until you're ready for it, because there's no point triggering it. There we go. Bring it out of the sky. Bam. Now, obviously she didn't die yet, but like that's it. We've got back to full health protection. Now we just got to work through this. There you go. Simple as that. So that is just a very quick video about Starkiller, how you make up his team. It's very difficult to compress it down, and I haven't touched on territory wars particularly, or on territory battles, which he does work in, but that is a topic for another video. Modern Frostfriends, make sure he's thick enough, make sure he's fastish. Mod Margrave for excess speed, as much speed as you can get. Mod Palpatine for potency, I guess, if you want to really like work down, because he land shocks and that helps with protection, because max do it for max protection as well. And then for the other two characters, I would always go Ben or Ben, mod him for protection, health, and defense. And lastly, I mean, I don't go with it very often, but Visas Ma is the best choice. Go for health with Visas Ma. I personally won't go with Scavenger Ray, and she works fine. She's not brilliant, but she works fine in the lineup. Can be GL Ray, 5v5 or 3v3. Can be Lord Vader, little tricky. Done it before, but it is very tricky. Can be JML. Can be Sith Eternal Emperor Palpatine. He's a brilliant character. If you don't have him, you should get him. Worth it. One Omicron only is required. And I can't emphasize enough how much fun it is to pull a Star Destroyer out of the sky. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next time.